they assigned me to speak about spirituality in Ramadan. Okay. So let's just dissect that title. Spirituality, spirit, right? Ar-Ruh, right? And Ramadan, obviously, because we fast in the month of Ramadan. And how are they connected? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that He prescribed for us the fasting as He prescribed it for the people before us. For what reason? So that we will be righteous. We will have taqwa. We will be, God conscious. We will be mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyamu kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. And why siyam? You ask yourself. And we fast 30 days, by the way. And to our friends who, when they learn that we fast 30 days, and they say, well, that's too long. That's too long. You're fasting 30 days. At least you can drink water. We tell them no, not even water. So we fast 30 days or 29 days without even drinking water. So how can you do that? And you pray 5 times a day too. I mean, that is too much, right? Why is that? Why is this discipline? So a lot of people may think, you tell your child to become, to start fasting, and you start asking question, or your child will ask question, what does Allah benefit from my hunger? Why does Allah want me to be hungry? Why do I need to starve? And the first thing that comes in your mind, that is deprivation, right? We're deprived. But no, it's not about deprivation, and it's not about starvation or even being hungry. A lot of people always connect fasting to hunger, which is not true. It's not about being hungry at all. It's about reforming your relationship with food in a different way. Let me explain it so we can put the word spirituality in it. Spirit. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you from 2 sides. You have a body that comes from earth. We all know that our bodies came from earth, right? And we have a soul that comes from heaven. Allah created us that way. We have 2 sides. And now what happens is that it's like you are a twin. You are it's like you're a double. You have a spiritual side and a physical side. And what happens to you? You eat to feed your body, right? You eat to feed your body. And what do you eat to feed your body? You eat food from the earth. You eat meat, you eat vegetables, you eat carbs, you eat all kind of stuff, right? And a lot of us become so fond of food, so connected to it, that once we eat breakfast, we think about the next meal, lunch. What am I going to eat for lunch? Well, just finish your breakfast now, right? Lunch comes, you eat, you stuff your face. What's going to happen for dinner? So there is dinner. And then before you go to sleep, you snack. So your relationship with food becomes so dear, and your body is nourished, or maybe not. Maybe it's not nourished. What are you doing actually? You're stressing out your body. A lot of people, their relationship with food is not healthy at all. It's a toxic relationship. And it's not because of food. It's because of how we see food. Now, while you're feeding your body, there's another side of you, which is the twin. Your twin is starving. Your soul is telling you, hey, can you quit eating? I need nourishment too. Quit eating. You're really destroying me. You're making me sluggish. You're making me lethargic. You're filling me with all these poisons. I can't carry you anymore. Your body can't carry you anymore. And you feel heavy. Your heart is heavy. Your mind is heavy. You're dull. And you have all kind of, different conditions, diabetes, blood pressure, you name it. And you see all these people, like the ones who are like 400, 500, 600 pounds, they can't even move. They can't move at all. And their life is so hard and difficult, and it's really, it makes you feel bad for them. And because of what they did to their bodies. So, that being said, is your soul also needs nourishment. And the nourishment of your soul is not from this earth. It's not from the food that you eat and you're stuffing your body with. It's from food that comes from heaven. Because it came from heaven. It needs food from heaven. And that food comes in forms of your connection with the Creator. With Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let me give you an example. I want every one of you to go back and think about the happiest spiritual experience you ever had. And try to ask yourself, how did I have it? And why did I have it? Right? I'm going to give you the opposite now. I was 17 years old. And I was in Jordan. We had to go for Umrah trip. In Umrah, you go to Medina, you spend a few days. It was in Ramadan, right? 17 years old, my first time out of Jordan, my first time going to this beautiful place in Medina and then in Mecca. So I go there, I'm supposed to be fasting, right? Of course. We go in the Kaaba, and it's Taraweeh, it's Isha prayer. But before that, we had to break our fast, right? And it's the last 10 nights of Ramadan, the best time of the year. I'm 17 years old. What do I know? So it was the middle of June. It was very hot. I had to drink so much water when I broke my fast. And then I had to go and eat. And we wanted to go and buy some food, but we found restaurants that offered food for free. I said, well, that's great. So we had 2 meals. I stuffed myself. I ate so much that when it was time for me to pray, everyone is standing and praying, beautiful prayer. The Imam is reciting, and I am behind the line sleeping. I couldn't stand up because I loaded my body with all kinds of food. Now the body is not thinking about you standing up and listening to a recitation. I am completely lethargic, sluggish, and it's like I am losing the most important moments of the year because of this. Because I couldn't control my body, couldn't control my desire, couldn't control the thing that my soul has been telling me, hey, stop. Give me a minute. Let me rejuvenate. Let me wake up. Give me some strength. Read Quran. Fast. So we have to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He prescribed fasting, He wanted you to know. He said, وَلَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرِ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرِ. Allah wants ease for you, and He doesn't want difficulty. That means He doesn't want you to starve. He doesn't want you to be hungry. He's not interested in you being hungry. But sometimes being hungry is what you need right now. During this month of Ramadan, you need to abstain from that food. You need to cleanse your body. You need to be able to carry your soul. That soul that was so heavy because of what you loaded your body with. And it's been asleep for a long time. And now it's time for the soul to wake up and have that special moment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Basically, what Ramadan is meant to, just like Hajj is meant to do, just like prayers, 5 prayers that are meant to do, is to connect you with Allah on a soul level. And if that requires that you discipline your body, that's what you need to do. Because sometimes our desires get in the way. Sometimes our souls, they are ruh, they become nafs. And what is nafs? Nafs is when your soul is connected to this body, and in that way where without control, you become out of control. So you are out of control, nothing can satisfy you. And when you think that there is a void in your heart, and that void cannot be satisfied with food, you still continue to eat more and more and more, thinking that, hey, maybe this will do it. You know, oh, this food is so delicious, and you feel so good eating it because of all these like endorphins and dopamines, and then after that, you get sluggish, and then you regret eating it. So what did I do to myself? If I just ate in moderation, if I just controlled myself, if I just gave myself a little time, which is called patience. And that's why Ramadan fasting is called the month of patience, Shahrul As-Sabr, the month of patience, because it requires that you are in control of your desires, not the other way around. You're not being controlled by your desires. You are controlling your desires. And once you have reached that level, then there are ample of opportunity for you in Ramadan to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to be in that special relationship with Him. Your prayers, fasting itself will humble you, will calm you down. I recommend people to really do that and see how it feels. And that you're not impulsive anymore. I remember when during fasting, you feel like, I'm a different person. I am so fresh. You know, you feel like it's easy for you even to cry. It's easy for you you feel light. You feel very light. Your soul is light. You feel more connected with your inner self. Internally, you feel that you love yourself. Whereas those people who give in and succumb to their desires, after so much indulgence, they start hating themselves. Why am I doing this to myself, you start saying. You know, I remember one of my friends used to order pizza, and his order was obscene. And I said, what are you doing? So he had pizza, and he had all kinds of meat on it. And if that was not enough, he put mac and cheese on it. You know, CC's used to do that, right? You remember CC? Yeah. All you can eat, you go in there and stuff yourself. He used, in front of me, he used to eat 3 large pizzas. And one of them would be with macaroni and cheese. Why would you put macaroni and cheese on pizza? And then after that, he goes and drinks a Frappuccino from Starbucks. And I come and tell him, what are you doing to yourself? And then he starts complaining, oh, my stomach hurts. Do you think this, he doesn't do that anymore. He matured up, he's married and, leads a beautiful life. But now I know why he does it. It's emptiness. trying to fulfill the hunger of the soul, that none of that can ever fulfill it. No alcohol, no drugs, nothing. The only thing that can fulfill it is your connection with Allah, is reading His words, is praying to Him, is controlling that desire. And now, I thought about it today. Musa alayhi salam, I only have 2-3 minutes maybe. Musa alayhi salam, before he met Allah, right? Allah invited him to receive the revelation. What was required of him to do? Fast 30 days. Musa alayhi salam fasted for 30 days. Then Allah increased it 10 more days. So he fasted for 40 days before he received the revelation from Allah, the Torah. And we all read this in the Quran, right? وَإِذْ وَعَدْنَا مُوسَى 30 لَيْلَةً. Right? Why, you think? Because your connection with Allah requires a different kind of freshness of your soul. Your soul has to be ready for that. Just like when you want to go to heaven, you can't go to heaven with a tired soul. You won't go to heaven with a tired soul, with a soul that is completely destroyed. You have to have a strong soul to be able to make it to heaven, which requires a connection with your Creator, a connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And because Allah says, أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ وَهُوَ اللَّطِيفُ الْخَبِيرُ, does He not know what He created? And He is al-Latif, the kind, and the subtle, and the knowing of the obvious and the non-obvious. Anything that is obvious, Allah knows, and anything that is not obvious in you, that you don't even know about yourself, Allah knows it. And because of that, He prescribed these acts of worship for you. Now, did you think about the moment when you were at your most spiritual high? I don't want to use that word, but when you're really very spiritual, what made you that way? I can give you 2 examples about myself, but I'm sure every one of you has that experience. When I did Hajj, towards the end of my Hajj, I know that it was coming to an end. I know that it was time for me to leave. I swear by Allah, I was standing and looking at the gates of the house of Allah, Al-Masjid Al-Haram, and I was standing there alone. Right by where they have these jugs for Zamzam where you drink. So I drank some Zamzam, I drank some water, and I stood. And it's like I'm talking to Allah. I said, that's it. That's it. I'm going to leave. I was thinking that. And that moment, I wanted to freeze, but I couldn't. I wanted this time to freeze because the pleasure and the sweetness that I felt from experiencing that moment as if I was talking to Allah directly made me think that if I leave, I'm going to lose this moment. But I had to leave. We couldn't stay. And I was crying, sobbing silently. Then we left, and when we landed here in Washington, D.C., I remember when I got out of the airplane and went to the hotel, I remember a horrible chest pain occurring because of the thought that I left that place where I really experienced a sweet, beautiful moment that I don't know if I'm going to experience it here And there's nothing, I'm not saying you can't do it here. You can. And the other moment is 2 years ago when I had COVID. In Ramadan, I couldn't come to the masjid because of COVID. And I stood up in prayer. I really shouldn't say that, but to tell you it's doable. You can do it. And I stood up in prayer. And I was reading the story of Nuh alayhi salam in the Quran. And as I was reading, I imagined myself in the place of Nuh when he was crying to Allah, "Oh Allah, my son, he is my son, and you promised me." I broke down in tears. I think that moment was an amazing moment. You know, I had a thought that was the night of Laylatul Qadr. I probably had that thought because of that moment that I felt. So to be spiritually connected to Allah is possible. All you need to do is have that balance between what your body needs and what your soul really is hungry for. Because that is what Allah wants you to do, is to have that balance, what we call al-mizan, the balance. The balance between what you need soulfully, spiritually, and what you need physically. And you don't want one to overwhelm the other. As for now, our bodies really is overwhelming our souls, that sometimes our souls are begging us to stop. And it can happen. And this Ramadan, make sure that you can do it, because you have ample opportunity of forgiveness, of mercy, of finding people that you can help and connect with, of prayer, dua. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. When my servants ask you about me, I am near. I am near, he said. I'm close to you. You can just cry to me, cry to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and make it a habit where make a plan every day. Today I'm going to reward my soul, not reward my body, reward my soul. And by the way, you can't really pray if you have a weak body. You can't really pray if you have a sluggish body. And I gave an example of my 17-year-old self going to sleep in the best moments of Ramadan, in the best place on earth, yet I was asleep. I mean, if I call that disappointment, if I call that stupidity, I don't know what I call it. I really don't know what I call it. I missed that time, and I really didn't take advantage of it. Because why? Because they were giving away free meals in that restaurant, and I managed to get 2 and stuff my body with it. And I paid the price. I still remember that time. I wanted to just say that and conclude with this. Jazakumullah khair. Please make Ramadan a special moment for you. Make it a special experience. And believe me, it can happen. And it can change your life. And I'm not saying that as a cliche. It does change your life. Jazakumullah khair. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.